What's up, everybody? It's Danny with Hip Hops. Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to be doing my vinyl tag for 2022. If you don't normally follow me and you found me through the vinyl tag search, I usually am pairing a beer with a record. Today I'm drinking Goose Island's Tropical Beer Hug. It's an Imperial IPA. So I'm doing the, I know there's been a couple different vinyl tags. I'm doing the Rob Walker one. So it's 22 questions. I'm gonna go by as quick as I can. And I kind of tried to limit this to things I purchased in 2021. It's not 100% correct, but some of them I had to pull from prior years to answer the questions. So my favorite purchase from 2021. This is one, it's Moose Dawa Reflect, and this is a 10-inch. This is a instrumental hip hop artist that's based out of Malmo, Sweden, and it's on the Chill Hop record label. I had been bugging them for a couple years. This originally came out in 2018, and finally they pressed it on vinyl, and I reached out and got one from Moose. So he signed it there for me, which is really cool. So really cool sample-based instrumental chill hip hop. All right, so number 2 is album by the first person you ever saw live. And I don't have a record for this. The first concert I ever went to was actually with my church, and it was a group called Jars of Clay, and it was at Raymond James Stadium, which is where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play. I don't have that record or anything like that, and I haven't listened to them probably since then, or a year after that or so. So I did pull. I also let me also say, in middle school and high school, I went to a lot of like punk, emo, hardcore shows and stuff like that. I don't have, I never collected records at that time, so I don't have a lot of that music on vinyl. So the closest thing I had, the album I have from the first artist I saw live, or the first album I have from the earliest artist I saw live, I saw Talib Kweli at the State Theater in St. Petersburg, Florida. And this is Black Star, Mos Def, and Talib Kweli. So yeah, great hip hop album if you're not familiar. This is amazing, came out in 1999. All right, so number 3 is an album by a duo, and I went with 2021 release. This is Tanya Morgan's Don and Vaughn, and Tanya Morgan is a duo, Don Will and Vaughn P. You can see them sitting on the moon there, looking into the earth, and then there's another shot of them from the other angle. So Tanya Morgan is a hip hop group that in the early 2000s, they were, with that like Raucous Records group and the record label. And I love them. They're still putting out stuff. They're putting out a lot of solo stuff too. I picked this up in 2021. It's a good, boom bap style beats with great lyricism. All right, so number 4 is an album, Still in the Shrink. With this one, I just got this not too long ago. Surprise Chef, All News is Good News. And this is an instrumental album. It's a group, it's sort of like I'm not gonna say they're like Karanbin, but they're like a funk jazz band that is just a good positive energy on a lot of their stuff. So definitely check out Surprise Chef if you're into like Karanbin or Karate Boogaloo, like that type of thing. All right, so number 5 is a concept album. So I have a lot of concept albums that I've purchased before, but trying to stick to the 2021 theme of this, I went with Apollo Brown's Sincerely Detroit. And Apollo Brown is a hip hop producer that's based out of the Detroit area. And this album is like a love letter to Detroit. So everybody who's on this, and I think that there's there's over 50 features of different MCs on this from the Detroit area. You can see there, like each track has like 3 to 4 to 5 different MCs on it. And so this is like a love letter to Detroit from a hip hop producer from there and a lot of rappers from that area. This is just on the black repress that came through this year. All right. Number 6, an album you have not played yet. So this is another recent one I've gotten. I just haven't listened to it yet. But this is Sam Gendel and It is called Fresh Bread, and this is the like dark, I can't remember, it's like the dark variant. The original cover is sort of inverse of this, like it's white with black lines, and then this one also comes on a cool color, it's like a smoke color there, and this is limited, I can't remember how many, but Sam Gendel is a LA-based jazz musician. He plays a couple different instruments, but this one in particular is very out there, and some of his stuff is very out there. It's very like avant-garde style. Yeah, it's got a couple different people on it with him, and this was a collection of recordings that he did throughout years, and the original, or you know, the digital release is like something like 50 something like that, crazy amount of songs, and then he sort of picked his favorite ones for this Fresh Bread album. Artist you've discovered in 2021. This artist I have Steve Carlson to thank for, as I mean many of us I'm sure watch him. Claude Fontaine. This is a female singer, you can see her here. Female singer, the first half is her over like reggae music. I believe she was recording this out of like London or something like that, but she met up with some like reggae legends, some dub reggae legends, and recorded this. She has a very lounge style voice over the reggae dub, is really cool, and then the second half she's singing over bossa nova tracks. It's a very interesting album. It's right up my alley for what I really enjoy. All right, number 8, a live album. So this is one of my favorite artists, singer-songwriter Gregory Eiskoff, and this is called just Gregory Eiskoff with the Colorado Symphony. And this is on black vinyl. There's also a white, but it's a really cool project. He's sort of like I guess you call him like an indie folk, but with this, he's got the whole orchestra backing him, and it's a really cool listen. All right, so number 9, an album from a different continent. And I'm gonna go to being in Chicago, United States, North America. I'm going with somebody out of Europe, and this is Athletic Progression's self-titled album. And these guys are based out of Denmark, and you can see it's 3 guys. They got the images on the back there, and this is a very progressive jazz, like new jazz sort of. It's got a good sort of hip hop beat to it also, with the drums and everything. But it's a good listen. Some of their songs have people singing on them. Some of them are just instrumental, but definitely check it out if you're not familiar with Athletic Progression. They have 2 other albums out as well. I think this is the middle one, if I'm not mistaken. Number 10 is album with a price sticker. So sometimes I pull the price stickers off, but this is one that I've recently gotten from Tone Deaf Records, which is in the Portage Park neighborhood here in Chicago. And this is Antonio Carlos Jobim, and it is Wave. And I love this album. I love Brazilian music. And I saw this, him post that he got this in, and I told my wife, who she was kind of like, if you like want anything for Christmas, let me know. And I said this, and it's $10. So it's not like near mint or anything, but it sounds amazing. It's great. All right, number 11 is a punk or a new wave album. Like I mentioned before, I listened to a lot of punk music in like middle school, early high school. I kind of grew out of it, but there are a few of them that are on my list that I would love to pick up old copies of. And it was a lot of, I wasn't listening to like 70s punk like I see a lot of people show. I was more into like punk that was going on at the time, or pop punk, or whatever. I was listening to a little bit of everything, but this is sort of emo pop punk / synth. So I'm gonna combine this into like a punk new wave combo. This is the anniversary and Designing a Nervous Breakdown. And this is the Vagrant 25th anniversary of the record label's release, and it comes on this pretty cool color. I'll show it here. You can see there, it's like that Coke bottle with the red, the yellow, and the blue that matches the cover there. So, and these guys, like I said, it's sort of like a blend between like pop punk, emo, and with like a lot of synths. It's a pretty cool listen. I just got it sort of like as a nostalgic thing, but I still love it. All right, number 12 is a box set, and this is one that a lot of people have shown, so I'm not gonna open it up, but it's the Mo-Fi Miles Davis Kind of Blue. I didn't own this yet. I love this album. I just had been waiting until I came across one in the wild, but then when I saw this get released and I saw a couple copies, I said, you know what, I don't have any original master recordings or Mo-Fis or anything like that, or, you know, that type of release. And I figured this is like the most classic jazz album there is, so if I was gonna have anything, that would be the one I'd want. All right, number 13, an album with a sporting theme. I've seen a lot of creative answers for this one, so I do want to commend everybody for coming up with stuff. This is, again, I listen to a little bit of everything, but I'm really into instrumental hip-hop music. This is a compilation that was released by Matumbo Records. It's called All-Star Game Compilation Volume 1. And Matumbo Records, I believe they're based out of Germany, which a lot of these are, but they sort of designed this based off of like NBA Jam / the San Antonio All-Star Game that was, I don't even remember when it was, in like the late 90s maybe. But all of the tracks, so they have different artists, all the different artists are on here, but then all the tracks are named after a player from that era. So like you have like Penny Hardaway, Patrick Ewing, Vin Baker, Shaquille O'Neal, Glenn Rice, Grant Hill, you know, all the different artists and stuff like that. And Dikembe Mutombo is, you know, the finger wag center, played for the, I think it was the Rockets for the majority of his career. So that's their logo is the wagging finger, and this is also on a super cool color that sort of just goes with the theme. But yeah, if you're into instrumental hip hop, check this out. They're a newer record label, so they only have a handful of releases so far. But I'm a big sports fan and a huge NBA Jam fan, so I had to grab this. All right, number 14 is a jazz album, and again going with a release from this year. This is Alpha Mist's Bringbacks, and this one got released on several different color schemes. This one though is the purple, which I'll show you there. It's got the ace there on purple. Alpha Mist is from the UK, and he's a piano player. I really sort of fell in love in the last like 2 years with the UK jazz scene. So like, you know, Yusef Kamal, which is Yusef Days and Kamal Williams, Alpha Mist, Tom Misch. I fell in love with that whole scene. And this is just Alpha Mist's latest release. But if you're into sort of jazz that has a hip hop essence to it, check out Alpha Mist. All right, number 15, a best of album. So this is one that I've had for a while, and actually it was given to me. It is, I don't have a lot of best of albums because a lot of the best of albums are older music, and I don't have a ton of like, you know, pop or rock older albums. Like I have a lot of older jazz albums. But this is an artist that my wife introduced me to. You know, I knew the song, but my wife really introduced it to me. Her father loved him. Jim Crochet's Photographs and Memories. And I mean, everyone knows Bad Bad, Leroy Brown, Operator, Photographs and Memories, Time in a Bottle, Working at the Car Wash Blues, I Got a Name. I mean, there's a ton. You don't mess around with Jim. There's a lot of hits on this that even if maybe you're not familiar with him, you will recognize the songs. All right, number 16, an album with at least 8 people on the jacket. All right, so this is another one that I'm really loving the answers that are coming up with this, because it's a lot of, you know, obscure things at certain times. Again, huge instrumental hip hop fan. This is Flo Fill's Scenario, which is a German beat maker, but you can see there it's an overhead shot, and there's a ton of people on the streets there. And this is Scenario is his second album, and it's Portuguese for Scenario, and so I believe it's Lisbon. If I'm not going to take the time to find it. Oh yeah, Lisbon. Okay, so yeah, it's all based on Lisbon, but they have like the cool photography in there. And I don't know if Robert Winter did this photography, but Robert Winter does a lot of the photography for these hip-hop labels. But this is on Melting Pot Music record label, which is a great label for hip-hop and some, you know, new age jazz and instrumental hip-hop. All right, number 17, a soundtrack. And this is another one I've had for a couple years, but it's my favorite movie. Home Alone. As a kid, I love this movie. And this is a really cool soundtrack on Mondo. So you got green and then red also for the, you know, Christmas theme. And one other thing I'll show you on this, so it's got the Obi strip, but if you're familiar with the movie, you know the scene where Kevin is like pretending he's home and he sets up like the Michael Jordan thing. So like this inserts are the Michael Jordan on the train, and then the woman that's on the vinyl player that's in there, and then you can also have it on this side, which is like when it's nighttime. And of course they have the like jockey guy here that constantly gets run over. And then I can't remember if this is the same. No, this is him when he's, you know, directing the people sit at the table. That's another one you can slide up to the front if you want. Then inside is really cool. I don't know. I love this movie. And this is sort of has like some of the, you know, the tarantulas here. You got a little bit of everything here. The hot thing for that he touches with his hand. Love this movie. Love this album. All right, show some VCLT. And fortunately enough, I just received my first VCLT right before Christmas, and that was from Steve Carlson. He sent me Lee Morgan's The Sidewinder. I love this album. I didn't own it, so I was pretty stoked to get it. It's been on my wish list for a long time. Classic album. You know, I know Steve's really into the, you know, the hard bop and stuff like that. I love this album, and I'm sort of exploring the jazz a lot more and more and getting more and more into it, so getting into more obscure things as well. But I love this album, classic album. All right, number 19 is an album with no writing on the jacket. So this is Chicago-based artist and Chicago-based label, International Anthem Recording Company. It's got this Obi strip, which I'm not gonna take off because I don't wanna have trouble putting it back on. But you can see here, Jeff Parker's New Breed, and it's an ode to his father. And then he later has another album called Maxine Brown? I can't remember. But an ode to Maxine, I think it is. Ode to Maxine. And that's to his mother. So this is the first album. If you're not familiar with Jeff Parker, he's a guitarist, does a lot of jazz stuff, but he was also with the band Tortoise, which you may be familiar with. But you can see here, there's no writing on either side of the album. There is on the spine, has the name of the album and the record label and all that. But yeah, if you take off this Obi strip, there's no words on it, except for the, you know, there's like faint handwriting from like the photograph that's on it. But you know, whatever. I wanted an excuse to show off a Jeff Parker album. Number 20 is a 7-inch single. This is a song I love. It's got 3 tracks on it: Penny in the Quarters, You and Me. And this is a track that was from the, gosh, what was it? It wasn't Cleveland. I want to say it was Columbus. I kind of forget where they were based out of now. But Penny in the Quarters, you can see there. You and Me is the main track off of this. They were two, it was a guy, so Penny is here, the singer. And then there was a lead male vocalist who was just like a friend or something. And then her 2 brothers were with her. And this was recorded between 70 and 75. It got shelved by the record label after it was recorded. Never to see the light of day, as they say. And when the gentleman that had it passed away, there was a estate sale. Somebody purchased it, and then they decided to go through some of these old recordings and release a compilation of it. You and Me, they couldn't find the artist, and nobody knew who it was. They were passing it around to all like the head, you know, music guys around the town, and nobody knew where it was, who it was. It eventually was discovered who it was, but it took, I think, up until It might have just been like 2011 or something like that. And the lead singer, that was the male that wasn't the brother, he had passed away in like 2009 or something. So they wanted to find them to, you know, pass on the royalties because the song was really taken off. It's been on several commercials, especially during holidays. It was on like a Cabela's commercial or something. It's been in a couple different movies as well. You and Me, great track. It's got that like soul sound to it. Check it out. All right, so number 21, a colored vinyl. This is El Orange and Namir Blades, Imaginary Everything. This is on Mellow Music Group. It's hip hop. El Orange is a hip hop producer. He uses a lot of like old radio shows samples in his tracks, which is really, makes him really unique. And Namir Blade is the MC on this. And I will show you here. I love the color of this. It sort of reminds me of that Anniversary album, but just a little bit different there. You can see. Yeah. And one other interesting tidbit on this album is that this cover, there is a French graffiti artist that this is like his, it's kind of, this is his emblem. And they didn't realize it when they were making the album cover, but they reached out to him and they decided to change it to where it's in verse. So like from now on, after this original press, it's going to be all black with a white guy there falling down, sort of like that, the inner label there. But yeah, interesting little tidbit about that. All right, and finally, number 22, an album from 1982. Again, I don't have a lot of 80s stuff. I have some late 80s hip hop, but I do have this, which I found in a dumpster, but it's Dionne Warwick's Heartbreaker. And I only had like 4 or 5 albums that were from 82, so, but Dionne Warwick, she's sampled in a lot of Jay Dilla stuff, which, not this album, but some of her stuff is sampled in Jay Dilla. And so I sort of have like a fondness for her because of that. All right, well, that wraps it up. I appreciate everyone watching. If you could like and subscribe, it would help me a lot. Find me on Instagram where I pair the beer and the vinyl together. As I say at the end of every video, listen to some new music and drink some new beer. Cheers.